Team, welcome back to the channel, man. I'm stoked to see you. So today we're going to be going over ADP 3-37, which is protection, and this is straight from my paperwork that I take into it. But these are questions that I've pulled together. These are actual board questions. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Some actual board questions that you could expect to encounter if you're going to a promotion board, if you're going to a competition board. And so we're going to do this. I'm going to give you some standard based questions, right? Some book questions. And then we'll give you some situational questions. Now, I know a lot of units like mine are asking nothing but situational questions, but you need to eat the book. You need to know what the regulation is saying so that you can put this into your answers when you get asked a situational question. What does ADP 3-37 outline? So the ADP 3-37 outlines how protection is synchronized and integrated to preserve combat power, populations, partners, essential equipment, resources, and critical infrastructure from the effects and threats of hazards, right? So that's a long statement, right? That's a long statement right there. And you're going to see this a lot in a book where the answer to a kind of a question is going to be a paragraph. It's going to be a list, a bulletized list of things. Maybe it's 11 principles, right? Which you should know all 11 principles of training. But, you catch my drift. So when you're asked a question like this and you're studying, you're making your 3x5 cards, what you need to do is catch, 6 words in an answer that you can remember. So if it was the regulation outlines how protection is synchronized and integrated to preserve the force, I would give you a go for something like that. Like, that's absolutely 100% good to go in my book. So next question is, what does the my fault, your bad. What does the protection warfighting function enable commanders to do? So there are several warfighting functions, and as a junior soldier, you probably don't need to know all of these just yet. But protection is one of those warfighting functions that your battalion commander and up are thinking about and synchronizing in order to facilitate their combat power. So what protection does is it integrates protection into the operation. That's what it does. So next question is, what is protection? Right, and so here we go. So the protection of the effectiveness and survivability of mission-related military and non-military personnel, equipment, facilities, information, and infrastructure deployed or located within or outside the boundaries of a given operational area, right? Again, we have another one that's just like huge answer here. So you need to boil that down to just a few words. So if you said just taking the first few words, right, the protection is, and look, put that in your kit bag, man. When you're answering a question, put part of the question in your answer as opposed to just spouting stuff off. So what is protection? Protection is the preservation of the effectiveness and survivability of the combat forces. I'd give you a go. What are the 5 protection principles? Now, this one is a list, obviously, because there's 5. But you could be asked, what are the protection principles? Could try to snatch you up. Or how many of the protection principles can you name? And then you don't even know what you're shooting for if you haven't studied. So the 5 are comprehensive, integrated, layered, redundant, and enduring. Now, if you can't remember all 5, then you can frame your answer of saying, it's the 5 protection principles include comprehensive, integrated, layered, and that's all I can recall at this time. For giving me 3, I'd probably give you a go for that one. What is the protection warfighting function? So earlier we asked about what the warfighting function enables commanders to do, but now we're just asking, what is protection as a warfighting function? And it's the related tasks and subsystems that preserve the force so that commanders can apply maximum combat power to accomplish the mission. Right on. And the last standard question is, what are the 4 tasks of the protection cell or protection working group during the preparation of protection measures? Right, so those 4 key tasks are to revise and refine the plan, determine protection indicators, and place systems to detect threats, and direct operational security measures. Now, how many of those questions would I ask during the board before we get into some situational questions? I may only ask 1 or 2 questions, right? If I have like 15 people, like we did on this last promotion board, we had like 15 people sitting out in the hallway. Man, I was asking like 1, maybe 2 questions per subject area. And I know that can be a challenge because you don't know what you're going to be asked any given day. So you have to come ready to rock and roll, right? So just know that, as you're studying, what do you need to study? What do you need to know? And there's no easy given answer for that. You need to know everything. You need to be prepared for everything. And when you're asked something that's a little bit different than what you were studying, put in some of those words and key phrases into those answers. It's going to demonstrate that you spent a little bit of time. Because, I got to be honest, I saw so many people come into this last board who didn't study a thing. They thought they could come in and wing situational questions. Well, you're wrong, man. You got to eat the book. Situational question, once Stoker learns how to talk, numero uno. You are preparing to go to the field. How you take protection into consideration for establishing your site. So regardless of what your MOS is, or regardless of what your battalion is, understand what your unit's medal is, right? Those mission essential task lists. Understand the key purpose and task of you going to the field in the first place. Know what the mindset of your commander is, both company and battalion, right? And be able to frame something in there, because odds are, throughout their tenure, they're dropping you some hints, they're dropping you some nuggets, and so you need to. How do you take protection into account? That's a pretty good question, right? One that you may not be ready for. So just walk the dog through getting ready to go to the field. You put in a supply list. You got your packing list being assembled. Maybe you're convoying out and you need to take some sea wire, some camo netting. How much do you need? You have it pre-laid out. You know that your first priority work is protection once you get on site. So at any given time, 50% is working, while the other 50% is providing security. Get in your work rest cycles. Establish fighting positions, LPOPs. Get a work rest cycle going. Get your chow plan. Just think about priorities of work. And you should be able to get through that one just fine. What threats can you, as a team chief or section sergeant, prepare for? This all kind of comes back to, controlling what is in your control. Man, you can't control a lot of threats that are out there, right? And even the response to those threats is not directly within your purview, right? Your go team. But what you can prepare for are direct points of contact, right? I don't care what kind of MOS you're in. You can prepare for direct points of contact, right? Whether that's on a line, whether you see a nipper machine being plugged into a sipper machine, whatever it is, like that actual physical portion. Think about what your job is. Think about what your unit is. Think about what threats you could be encountered, and give it a good answer. You are tasking with teaching a class on protection. How will you plan, prepare, resource, execute, and assess that training? That is a question, by the way, that I put into all of my subject areas. You're given a class to teach. How are you going to to plan this class, how you're going to give this class. So just work through some 8-step training model, points of discussion. Talk about, how you're going to resource it, where you're going to give it, how you're going to rehearse. Talk about training meetings, right? It's being briefed during training meetings, or even, even down to the platoon level. How are you going to conduct it? Where are you going to conduct it? Do you need to convoy out somewhere? You going on foot? You get in a classroom environment? And then don't forget that it needs to be logged into DTMS. Hey, everybody, man, I hope you enjoyed the content of this one, right? I know this is one of those areas it's on a lot of MOIs. It's not on all of them. So leave some comments down below. Let me know if it was helpful. That way I can continue to bring these to the table. If there's a subject area that you're like, Stoke Dog, man, bring this one. Leave that down there as well. We'll keep this conversation rolling. Man, as always, until then, you keep on grinding and you stay stoked.